Mona is in the studio. And before we get into the interview, I just have to acknowledge you because you and I filmed content together, like, I want to say 4 years ago.
5 years ago and 4 years ago, both.
Yes. And you're such a dream to work with. You and I have a lot of similarities, which we'll get into. And I look up to you so much in the creator space. And we also interviewed you on the podcast, which you guys should go and listen to 5 years ago.
I think it was episode 97. Might have been 96, but 5 years ago. It's been a long time. You've been hiding for us for forever.
I love that I was one of the first 100.
You were one of the first 100. And you were in my book. I mean,
yes,
there's a lot of different layers.
We really got along well in LA. I feel like we really collaborated well.
Yes, and we both got out of LA.
Yes, happily.
Yeah, happily. As I was saying, a lot of similarities. So the thing that I really wanted to have you on here for was you decided to take a break from social media, which is so interesting to me because, number one, you're dating one of the most well-known internet personalities in the world. And number two, you had so much momentum and traction and attention. And number three, I'm curious for my own self. Why did you decide to do that? Like, walk me through when you even first had the epiphany to do that.
Lauren, it's interesting you mentioned this because since you were an hour late, we already covered all this. So
we're going to move on. 40 minutes and it's in New York.
I'm just kidding. Well, no, we actually saved it. I said I want to hear it on the show.
Yeah, well, here we are. We're on the show. Michael, the past is in the past.
So leading up to it, I was actually I'd moved to New York and I was working with a new team and I was actually really doing everything best practice, right? Because I was like, I want to grow more on social. I want to get, just not the wrong reasons, but I was really focused on like numbers and metrics and growing and business. So I was doing all the right things in that way, but I just was not liking it anymore. And I was like, okay, why am I just exhausted after every day? I'm not happy. I left a job at the pharmacy to do this, and this was my dream career. And then I just felt like it wasn't inspiring anymore. Even my YouTube channel, I was like, I was just like looking up topics to talk about. I felt like I was just at this weird crossroads. And then I was talking to Gary about it, and he was the one who first was like, just take a month off. Just take 2 months off. And I was like, are you kidding? Everyone's going to forget about me. Like, this is my whole career. And he's like, I promise you, nothing will happen. You could take 2 years off and nothing will happen. You could come right back and it won't be that big of a deal. So I kind of timed it where I was like, all right, I'm going to take a month or two off in November, December. My plan was really to take 2 months. But the way I posted it was like, I'm going to take 3 or 4 weeks or so off just to leave it alone. So I got a little taste of it. It was during the holidays and it was so cozy. There was just something about I didn't even go on social media during that time. Didn't open Instagram, didn't open TikTok. I was like, I just need a mental break.
No checking DMs.
Nothing. Literally nothing. I had batched all my YouTube content for the year. I had someone my team posting it for me. And, I was signed with DBA still at the time. So I was like, hey, I'm not going to be doing brand deals, nothing. And the first 4 to 6 weeks was so good. I was enjoying it so much. And I was it number one got me this detachment from my phone where now, I'm the most annoying with my team. I never answer texts because I just don't like being on I'm in this space, but I want to work and then put my phone away. I don't want to be on it. I want to be present. So that was huge for me. And then we rolled around to December and New Year's and I was like, okay, I'm going to come back. And I just wasn't feeling ready, but I was like, oh, I have to come back. So I came back in January and it was 2 months in or so. And I've never actually shared this, but I got COVID in March and that just set me on this anxiety, tailspin where I was and there was something in that time period between that where I was I just need more of a break. And that just triggered the whole year. So I wasn't planning on taking a year. I was planning on taking 2 months. And then I just took the rest of the year off.
It was probably one of the best years to take off. That period of time on the internet was dicey.
Was it? Well, I don't even know. I missed everything.
Well, I think during that COVID March period, it was just a lot of negativity online.
This was a year. So this was 2020 or 2021 technically. or the end of 2020. So it wasn't like right at COVID. It was a year after.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah.
What were the anxieties from not being on social media? Did you really truly not think about it? Did you really truly not? You said you didn't check it. Like, did you completely just detach from it? Like, what were your anxieties when you're going through this?
So I was COVID, you're in such a bubble anyway. So it was just me and Gary. And it was like, I kind of loved the quarantine year. It was, you know, like just being home and like cooking dinner and going to bed early. And even though it's what he does, he's not like consuming and like scrolling. So it was just never talked about in our little bubble. Like I was just so present and happy. And then honestly, you think you're going to be so anxious and you get really used to it and really happy and comfortable. And then there was that whole year where I was like, do I even like this? Is this what I even want to do with my life? I started questioning like the whole career. And every time I'd go to like, okay, I'm going to get back on social, because I'd hang out with friends and everyone's talking about it and posting. And sometimes I'd be like, okay, do I care? Do I want to get back into it? I was like, do I want to start a nonprofit? Do I want to go in a totally different direction? And every time I'd go to post, I just had this like, I was like forcing myself. It was pulling teeth until it wasn't. And then I came back.
Do you feel like too, maybe that you had to step outside of it to take a beat so you didn't burn out?
Yes.
I would like for you to speak on that. Because sometimes I have to like take a weekend or take a week off because I feel like I want to protect myself from burning out.
Yes. And I remember before that, I took a week off once and like did this whole dramatic post about like, I'm going to take a week off, like thought it was the biggest deal, and then a year off, and it wasn't. I think I was feeling really uninspired. So, I mean, I know you asked me about Joe Dispenza before we even got into this, but I was intrigued by his posts and stuff before COVID, but never really got into his work. That summer when I was taking a break, I started getting into his work. And so I've never asked Gary for a favor in terms of like, can you introduce me to so-and-so? I don't care. Like, I mean, we live in LA. I feel like you don't really get starstruck at this point. But I was like, I need to talk to this guy. I just feel like he was connecting with me on a way where I've always kind of been intrigued by spirituality, but people make it so woo-woo, and he was making it hard facts and science. And that's what I can relate to. I'm like, okay. So we like pulled all these strings and I got a phone call with him. And it's actually so funny because I was waiting for like a month for this phone call, and like the day it happened and like waiting by my phone, and he never called. And then like it was this whole thing where he said I didn't answer, but ended up he had the wrong number. So I was in the Hamptons, pulled over on the side of the road, like I can't lose service. I'm waiting for this phone call. So I spoke to him. He was so generous and so kind. And he was like, you need to actually come to the week long. This is where like you're going to learn the most work. And I was like, okay, maybe, because his meditations at first are weird. Like,
that's what I told Michael. I said they're weird at first, but you're so right. That's why I like him too, because I feel like you and I like the logical part of it.
I need the lot. My brain needs that.
You guys can relate on a lot, but I feel like maybe you and I are more like, I have a rough time with someone in my head like that. It sounds like he's talking to me from outer space.
Yes, exactly. I swear they were even when I had the phone call with him before that, I'm trying to do, I would like dread these meditations. I'm like, I don't want to hear this first thing in the morning. This is weird. Until the week long.
And so what do you do at the week long?
So it's this week long
Does event. He come and talk in that voice in your ear?
Well, all his meditations are in that voice, but something transformed honestly, it changed my life completely. And I feel like I don't usually believe in these week long, I don't know, events like that sometimes are a little fluff, right? Where you're like paying to go to this thing and what are you really going to learn? And I'm so intrigued by the work. You know, I have that science brain where I just love research because I just get excited. I'm like, this is proven, like this is a fact. And you go there and he basically, it's like lecture meditation. That's like the whole process. And he's just up there with like UCSD, like research team, MDs, PhDs, hard facts, studies just showing you how real energy is and how it's not, this is proven science. And I'm like, why isn't the whole world talking about this? Do we not understand?
Well, I've never denied it. I've just said it's been hard for me to get into. Like I
never was into meditation at all. Melissa Wood came on for part 4 or whatever. And she's like, Lauren, you have to meditate. You have to just try it. Trust me. I started with her 5 minutes and then something led me to Joe Dispenza's morning meditation. take a moment.
I can say it, but from memory at this point.
It's the best. I listen every single morning.
I love it.
For the whole pregnancy, my son, when he hears it, immediately relaxes. That meditation is
it's like a trance almost.
Oh my God.
Right? It's like a relaxing trance. By the way, your hair looks fab. I just have
It's
to
fake.
Say. I love the color. I like the color.
It's
I
fake
want
too.
to go back a second before we move on and talk about this time off. So,
Yes. So this was during my time off still.
okay.
You're on your week-long retreat. I don't know if it's a retreat. But
Whatever you want to call it. So I still had every time, basically we get through, I had the call with him in August. I'm still on my time off.
and what's the call? You have to tell me the specifics of the call.
I just told him, I was like, I have wanted to be very respectful of his time because I guess he doesn't take calls like this often. So I did his he has a progressive online course that you can do. I did it in a week. I was like all day just listening because I was like, I want to make sure I know what I'm talking about. And I ask him my questions I have. So I had like 5 questions written down, and like, when you say this, what do you mean? Like, I'm struggling with this, and he would answer me, and he was like, I'm gonna mentor you a little bit, like call me again in a month, but I want you to start doing the walking meditations too, because I want you to practice this with your eyes open. If you're just doing this, he has walking meditations, and he's like, if you close your eyes, you're in this peaceful state, and then you open and you just live your life the same way, you're not actually getting the experience.
That's sometimes when I go into his meditation, I feel like I'm high.
Me too, actually high, like in a trance.
Like almost, it gives me, this is so weird, the same feeling that a tequila shot gives
The hell is this guy saying to these women?
No, it gives me like a tequila shot relaxes my nervous system, and there's something about the same thing. It relaxes my nervous system. But when I open my eyes, I know what you're saying. Sometimes like he'll come in with like his intense energy that you probably just saw when I was late. But like it takes you out of it. So the walking meditation probably teaches you how to be.
It teaches you how to actually live it. So his whole thing is when people manifest, you say, like, I am peaceful, I am peaceful, I am abundant, but you're not actually feeling the emotion. And he's like, you have to have the thought and feel the emotion at the same time. If your body isn't at a high vibration, you're not actually believing it, because what you feel is what you really are. So it's like a positive thought and a positive emotion. So he teaches you. So he even said to me on the phone, I don't care what gets you to that positive emotion. You could think about shopping. You could think about a future baby you want to have, a puppy. Feel love inside of you, and then think about what you want to manifest, and you have to combine those two. And there's science that is, his research team, there's like these test tubes inside this glass case, and they tried both. One just thought, one just emotion, the people outside. And then with both, the temperature actually raised inside. Like, they have real facts showing that when you combine these two things, it's like the science of manifesting. It's really cool. And he doesn't look woo-woo, and he's cool and normal. So, quote unquote, normal.
He almost, though, is like the Gary Vee of meditation, because it's interesting that you said you didn't want to waste his time.
Yes.
And he does give you logic behind the meditation, which is why I cannot stop talking to Michael about him. But Michael is a little bit weary.
Careful,
No,
Lauren.
he's a little bit weary of the voice and the, the part where he says, you're in space. Imagine you're in space.
I have to have it explained.
Can you explain
yes.
behind this so we can get
Do you know Deepak's, like, okay.
Sure.
When I first listened to Deepak Chopra, I was like, what is this guy talking about? This was like 8-9 years ago in LA. And the whole concept of energy and meditation really is that you can be everywhere at every time. Honestly, even the concept they hone in on, which is like there is no time and there is no space. I haven't been able to logically grasp this yet. I think that as I go, I'll understand more. But anyone spiritual you talk to says that, like, time is an illusion. So I know he gets into that, and it's a little bit confusing, but this guy is genuinely the real deal. Like, so he tells me, he's like, practice this, do these walking meditations, come to the week long. I'm gonna send you a ticket. And I'm like, okay. So obviously he's not trying to sell me anything. He invited me. I didn't even have to, So I go to this week long. Actually, me and Melissa went together.
That's nice that you guys went together too, and you guys are on the same page.
Well, funny enough, we went together, but then I couldn't go last minute because I was exposed to COVID, and I was afraid I was going to be in Mexico and have COVID. I didn't end up having it, but she went. I got it for her as a birthday gift. I was like, you go, and she was fine. I went the next month again in January.
So you went, maybe that's supposed to happen.
I agree. Everything. So I went, I made Gary come with me. It was like in the middle of somewhere in Florida. He just like sat in the hotel working on Zoom the whole day. Because I was like, I don't want to sleep alone for a week and like while I'm doing this interesting experience. So he just like came, such a trooper.
Hold on. Is Gary's not doing Joe Dispenza meditation?
No. Gary doesn't want to meditate at all because he's so good and so at peace. He doesn't want to mess anything up.
I mean, listen.
I respect.
That's been my.
Okay, no, Michael. You're not Michael V.
No, listen. I think no, here's what I think. I nothing is like falling apart knock on wood at the moment. And and so I'm like, okay, how deep do I want to go and unravel whatever the hell I've buried beneath to,
Fair.
unleash and potentially fuck my, family life's good, kid life's good.
I don't think it's about unraveling. I think it's about being
but I'm happy too.
Version of yourself.
Agree.
And what that looks like in your head and feeling it. And what I try to explain to men, because men are always like, to me, they're always like asking about meditation. I try to say it's like a strategy session with yourself on how you want your future to look.
Yes. It's like, well, the kind of meditation we do, we're actually envisioning our future. There's different meditations, right? I used to do TM before that. And I was like, always thought guided meditations weren't like the real deal. But Joe's meditations have sent me so much deeper than TM ever did.
Quick break to talk about Squarespace. If you are living in 2023, you are so lucky, and here's one of the reasons why. Back in the day, not to date myself, when this world of the internet first came about, if you wanted a website, it was such a pain in the ass. I mean, a real pain in the ass. It was almost impossible, at least it was for me. I had no clue what I was doing. You had to find someone to build it for you, and it was always breaking. The design looked terrible. It was so expensive. Well, not anymore with Squarespace. Squarespace is your one-stop shop to build incredible websites that can do so much more than just present as websites. Whether you're building a personal brand, a blog, a newsletter, or an e-com site where you can sell all of your own products and keep track of all of your own customers, Squarespace has something for everyone. Everything you see in the Skinny Confidential world can be done on Squarespace. Long gone are the days when building an online platform feels impossible. And what I really love about Squarespace is you also own all of the content you put on the Squarespace platform. So if you're someone who's been thinking of building your own website or your own commerce site to sell your products to people online, this is the answer. You can also incorporate your newsletter and all of your analytics right onto this platform, as well as connecting all of your social accounts to your site. So think of it as your hub for your entire online presence, all built in one place on one platform that you control and own with Squarespace. So check it out and head to squarespace.com/skinny for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use offer code SKINNY to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Squarespace.com/skinny for a free trial. Again, that's squarespace.com/skinny.
The Skinny Confidential Him and Her podcast is brought to you by BetterHelp. And I have to tell you, I am obsessed with this for feeling like your best self. So here's the thing. I have had therapy in my life, but I always found it to be like a huge to-do. So when I was 18, I went to therapy and I would have to obviously book the appointment, call in, get in the car. Then I would get there, I'd have to sign in, sit in the waiting room, go in, do the therapy, come out, pay. It's like, get out. It's just a whole thing. But this, BetterHelp, is going to give you flexibility. Not only is it going to give you flexibility, it's going to be affordable and entirely online. So what you're going to do is you're going to fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. And you can also like switch therapists anytime you want. So if you don't like the first therapist, you can switch to another one, which we love. Like I said, flexibility. And you can do therapy from the comfort of your couch. If you want to be on video, you can be on video, but you could also just be on the phone. So you can kind of curate the whole experience to what you want. And you're doing it at home, which I love. It saves you time. So if you're looking to work with a therapist to be the best version of yourself, I would highly recommend checking them out. If you want to live a more empowered life, therapy can get you there. You're going to visit betterhelp.com/skinny today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/skinny. There is one thing that I can count on every single day. I'm not talking about Michael. I'm talking about Zaza asking me for her vitamin. I am not going to get away with not giving her her vitamin. She loves it so much that I have to train her that it's only one. She can only have one. So here was my predicament. I wanted to give her a great vitamin, but I didn't want to give her candy in disguise filled with a bunch of sugar and bullshit chemicals and just like that gummy junk. You guys know what I'm talking about. A lot of us ate it when we were growing up. I wanted to give her something legit. So enter Haya. They're full of all the things you want for your kid, especially in the morning. So minerals, vitamin D, B12, zinc, folate, everything to just help immunity, energy, brain function, mood, concentration, teeth, bones, and more. And she likes it. And most importantly, and this is it for me, it's become a ritual in our house. These vitamins, and this was really important to me, are non-GMO. They're vegan, dairy-free, allergy-free, gelatin-free, nut-free, and everything else you can imagine. They're designed for kids of all ages, and I'm telling you, you're going to love them. We have a special deal for you, of course. So with Haya, for their best-selling children's vitamin, you're going to receive 50% off your first order. To claim this deal, you must go to hayahealth.com/skinny. This deal is not available on their regular website. You're going to go to HIYAHEALTH.com/skinny and get your kids the full body nourishment they need to grow into healthy adults.
So here's my counter to that. I think the main point, at least for me in life, is to be genuinely happy in your life. And I'm genuinely happy in my life, meaning like I'm happy with my family, I'm happy with my business, I'm happy with myself, like I'm happy. And so I haven't felt the need to alter much about my mindset because I'm happy. Like, yeah, there's days that are harder and ups and downs and stresses and anxiety. Everybody has that, but like I'm genuinely waking up each day happy.
Okay, that is a Gary vibe, I feel
It
like.
is. I honestly, I feel like the whole point of meditation is to connect you to your true self and to your soul and to make you wake up feeling at ease. And if someone has that, don't. I also think that there's no one form of meditation. You don't need to do it. One thing Joe taught me too was that if you're just waking up and doing it to like run through the list and the checklist, you're not doing it for the right reasons. And sometimes I catch myself doing that.
I know what you're saying. Like,
You
you're like,
know?
okay, I need to meditate today to get to the next
So
step.
I
Speaking of
feel like
happy,
I did
though,
it.
I want to actually go back to where this started. So I think there's a lot of people that listen to, not just listen to this podcast, just people in general that feel this incessant need to be connected all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, I believe that drives a lot of unhappiness, right? Because you feel like if you aren't participating on these platforms, you're missing out on something, or somebody's passing you, or
Social media, you mean?
social,
Yes,
anything.
yes.
Like, we're so hyper connected.
Right.
And I think people maybe look at you at the time when you're creating, Lauren at the time, Gary for sure, and say like, these people are always connected, they're always on, they're always doing something, and they think that's the blueprint. But I think you are an example, and what you're saying is Gary's also an example. Like, you guys disconnect.
Yeah.
And you took a long time to disconnect. And I think if people were to look at someone like Gary from the outside, they may not understand that he does disconnect. So I wonder, when he gave you the advice and said, hey, take some time off, like that's not advice I think a lot of people would think would come from him.
No.
And
I know, sorry, I segued a little bit.
Yeah,
Go
no,
on.
I want to know, like, from his point of view and what he told you, like, why was he so confident that taking time off would actually be a good thing? Because I think that's something a lot of people should hear.
He could see that I wasn't happy doing it anymore. He could see it wasn't inspiring, and I felt like I was just going through the motions. And he's so big on like doing it with intention and authenticity, and I was like, it just wasn't fun for me. And he was hearing me. Honestly, he's so intuitive. I feel like sometimes he knows something about me before I even know it. Like for example, I never realized how private I am. And we joke about it. I'm like, no, I'm like, I really don't like people knowing anything about, and he's like, really? Like, shocker. Like, he could tell from the beginning that I was going to be more private, even about our relationship. And
I think that's probably something he likes about you, though.
yeah, well, in the beginning, it was like, I share a lot about my life. You don't share a lot about your personal life. How are we going to find this balance? And he was like, I think you're more private than you realize you are. And then as we went, I'm like, no, he's right. I am.
That's interesting that you say he's intuitive. So it's like you guys are both intuitive, just on different.
Very different.
Yeah.
I want to get to your question. I mean, I could go on so much with that, but so he was like, take it. And then I think as the year was going, he could just see that I needed it. And his whole thing is like, just to not worry, like to just listen to yourself in that moment. And
I think there's a lot of people that need it, which is why I ask. And people feel they can't disconnect from it, whether they're going to, miss something, or they're going to lose out on business, or they're going to, not evolve, or there's going to be a platform that takes off and they're going to miss that wave.
Exactly.
And I think to your point and to his point, it's like, you're not really missing anything if you don't like what you're doing in the first place.
No, exactly. And he's like, and it's all moments in time. Like there could be the next platform. Like you could come back in 5 years and like that moment in time could just be when something hits for you. So I think there's never like a concern about like having to do it right now. And he's like, and of course there's like, oh, catch this moment here, but not in a stressful way. Like take advantage of this. If not, the next thing will come and it's okay.
Yeah, I have all these people. So with what we do now, obviously Lauren's like drives a ton of social channels, right? Like she's on, she actually likes creating.
The queen of it. I mean, I love it.
When I have all these people now with what we're doing here on the podcast and what I'm doing at Dear Media, like all these different like consultants, quote unquote, come and say, you got to do this on your social channel or this on TikTok. I'm like, I know I'm probably leaving dollars on the table regularly by not engaging on those platforms regularly, but I don't find that I will find happiness there. And so I don't do it. And so like, I think this is another thing people need to hear. It's like, you don't have to do everything. Just like, if it's not something you would enjoy doing, why would you do it?
He said, sometimes like I'll ask him advice on something and he'll be like, you should be doing, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. He's like, then don't. Like, don't do something you don't want to do. It's not going to be sustainable. If he's everything he does, he's happy doing and likes doing and can do. That's his personality. And then even like, working with his social team a little bit, they were like, here are best practices. And that's what was giving me the burnout, where I was like, okay, this is what I have to be doing to grow the most. But it just wasn't connecting to my authentic self, to my soul. Even like, I think I was so used to being in this like hosty kind of like, Dr. Mona, I'm teaching you. And what I realized was happening was I just wanted to exist and be me. And just, I don't know if it was like I didn't think I was good enough, where my only value was my degree. So if I wasn't talking from that angle and that energy, people weren't going to care what I had to say. And he really pushed me to be like, take the doctor off your name. Just be like, you can be enough on your own. Just share it as your opinion versus like, this is my professional advice. And so I think that was giving me a lot of the burnout. I just didn't want to turn on this like thing all the time.
It's so interesting when you say this, because what I'm most attracted to about your content as a consumer is like when I look at your wellness highlight and you talk about like a tea that your mom made you when you were little.
Yes, like culturally.
Yeah, that's when I didn't think about that until you just said that, but I'm more attracted to seeing a voyeuristic aspect of your life, of what lights you up about the tea or there's something about honey that you said, and like
warms your body.
Yeah, instead of you being like more of the like expert, if that makes sense.
Yes.
I want to see more of the like behind.
Exactly. And that's what I wanted. And I don't know why I didn't think it was enough. And the whole Joe Dispenza thing, the reason I even got into that week long, I swear, like I'm even like my heart's pounding talking about it. I would never believe someone if they told me this.
Okay, well, you have to walk us through this entire week long. Like a week long to me sounds really overwhelming.
No, are you okay? Do I gotta worry about this guy taking you from me or what?
I
was starstruck over Joe, but I think
I get why
when it's someone you respect.
He's in my ear more than you.
I know.
Well, I'm not usually concerned about other men. Now I'm starting to worry.
I mean, his voice gets me.
Joe, come on the show. Let's fight it out.
You guys should get him on the show.
We're trying to.
I would love to. But tell me exactly from start to finish what this week-long retreat is, because I had seen both you and Melissa have this transformation on social media. Afterwards, you guys went on and talked about it.
Yeah. So everything leading up to it was I was already like, okay, I'm enjoying being more connected to people and not stuck on my phone all the time. Like my mom, like, or anyone will text me and like be worried that I won't respond in hours. It could be in the other room the entire day and I don't care. And it is so refreshing. We do a
sidebar of the text messages?
You are the one who first inspired me on that years ago.
Guys, everyone, this is a public service announcement. Again, a text message, you are coming into someone else's space asking for their time on your time.
Thank you.
So here's the deal. If someone texts me on a Monday and I don't have any time, I might not respond until 2 Mondays later. I respond when I have the time to respond. It's nothing personal against anyone, even like a family member. It's nothing personal. It's just, if you're responding to every text message that you're living in the react.
Literally.
Where's your day?
I remember telling someone, maybe it was my best friend Erica, like years ago, I was like, Lauren has created an expectation now where I don't expect her to text me back. And I love that. And I need to create. And I remember it really inspired me. And now people know, like they laugh because I just don't respond. Like I'll respond a week or two later or maybe that day. But I need to respect my own space and boundaries because I don't want to be on my phone. I don't even go on my phone. Brianna knows, she's here, my assistant. I don't go on my phone after like 8:30 p.m. and then until 9 a.m. It's on airplane. It doesn't do good for me and my body.
Okay, I have to ask a really micro question. Michael's going to be mad. How do you do the Joe Dispenza meditation in the
airplane mode?
You do
so yes, I do it. What I mean is I'm not
it.
engaged. Yeah, I download it and I have it on airplane. I just don't want text coming in. I don't want blue light. Like
I didn't realize that you can listen to it on airplane mode. Now I'm going to be even more unavailable.
Well, I think the problem with this device, and mine's going off like 85 times, and I'm the worst on text, by the way, worse than Lauren probably. But it creates this environment where you constantly have to react.
Yes.
And so you can't create and you can't be thoughtful and you can't focus because it's impossible to focus by constantly picking this thing up and checking 80 different apps before you can actually get to whatever it is you need to work on or whatever you need to create or you need to focus on. And like we've created this culture where people feel obligated to this device.
If someone doesn't respond to me for a month, I don't take it personally.
Because
No, it's just like, do what you can do. We're all trying to keep our head above water with everything that's going on.
Yeah.
There's so many notifications on every single platform for everyone. I'm not unique. No one's unique here. We're all trying to do our best. The text message thing, if you expect a response from someone right away, I feel like you need to go back to the drawing board with your strategy.
I agree. And also knowing like, it's like, look, obviously you have work and you have responsibilities. So during the day, like when it's something I need to respond to, I will, but I'm not going to die. Like someone that needs to text me a question, like I'll get back to it at the end of the day when I can, especially if you're a creative and you're trying to create as the process was going, I started respecting what I need and like what's authentic to me and like what will work for me. Because if I do it that way, I'm not going to sustain it.
And if you do it the way that feels right, you're not going to have the burnout that you were experiencing.
Exactly.
I also think another myth that people aren't going to agree with me on is I don't respond to emails. I don't live in my inbox. Sorry.
Same.
I'm connecting, I'm working, I'm interviewing, I'm creating content, I'm connecting with my audience. I don't check my email. I check it maybe once every 2 weeks.
One of my biggest things with having an admin is like being in my inbox. If something's important, tell me. But I'm like, people on my team will be like, did you see the email? I'm like, when? Like 15 minutes ago. I'm like, you're joking, right? I might see that in 2 days, maybe, but it's not where I'm living.
You know, we just interviewed Paige, and I forgot her last name. What is her last name? From Aviator Nation.
I have to look it up.
And she's obviously one of the most successful women in the world. I mean, she has built a huge business, and she goes, I don't check email.
See, you don't have to do it the way everyone does it. And like you... I don't know. I just think if it doesn't actually resonate with you, you're not going to be successful because it won't last.
100%. Okay, we have to go back to so you arrive.
So I arrive. The first night we do like first of all, I'm not the person that likes to go to conferences. I can be an introvert in that way. Like I'm not going to go. I want to keep to myself. I'm wearing like triple masks at the time because it's like COVID was spiking and I have a baseball cap on. I'm just in the corner. The first night he does a little intro talk and an evening meditation, like group meditation. We go. And the first meditation was nice. I like being in a room with people while you meditate will help you because all of their energy is resonating.
I don't know. I'm lost now. I don't know if I can go in a room with a lot of people. Lauren.
No, I would hate a room with a lot of people, but I would like that because she's right. There's a vibration.
There's a vibration in the room. First of all, he gives everyone eye masks. Well, you can buy them, but now I only meditate with a blindfold because it really helps shut you off. And I would take my chair and pull it to the corner of the room by myself, put on my thing. Like I just felt like I was hidden in my little space. So the next day we go in the morning and he starts lecturing and teaching. And I was just enthralled by this information. I feel like it was opening up my mind to spirituality in such a scientific, relatable way, you know, where I was like, this is actually real. And I didn't grow up religious at all. So I've never had faith, I guess. And I knew I believe in God. But I can understand why people like religion because it gives you a sense of faith that like someone's got your back. And in terms of spirituality, it's more just like the universe has your back. Like there's a higher force that's there for you, and it's always working for you. So as we do the group meditations, I think it was 2 days in, I would come back and tell Gary, I'm like, you don't even understand what I just learned. And he believes in all of it. He's extremely spiritual. If you listen to his content,
100%.
Now 100%. If you know what he's saying, gratitude, like all of it is the same.
It's the same. It's literally, he
said, I'd be like, wait, you've been saying this. And he's like, I know. Like, I didn't know. Wait, you've been saying this the whole time. Every time I learn more, I realize it's what he's saying.
He's also manifested, I think, a lot of what he is. Like, I feel like the reason he is what he is because of the thoughts that he's thought.
Yes. Because he's so positive and happy because he believes it. Like Joe teaches you, if you don't really believe it, it's not going to happen. And the problem, like, that's what his meditations, they're like, he has like things on your brain, like little, whatever they're called, like little headsets, and they're watching your brain waves while he does. His meditations are very intentional to get your brain waves into this very relaxed state so that you actually can get into your subconscious and
whatever you want in your life. Whatever you want, Michael Bostic. This is the key.
Well, I don't want to say I have it all figured out, because I don't for sure. But what I guess inherently in some kind of way, this is kind of how I operate anyway.
You might be there more naturally than me and Lauren are, which that's, and I'm like, I have to
like, that sounds like a very arrogant statement. I'm careful to say it, but
no, it's okay. If you are more,
it's great.
It does come naturally. I see him talk about something that we don't have, like years before we have it.
So yes. I have to work to get there.
I get in trouble because I think like it's very important to live in the state of the present state. I don't think about the past at all. Like nothing.
Amazing.
I just don't. I've never found any, the whole life growing up, my dad said, you can't drive a car looking in the rear view. And I believe that. I think it's nice to acknowledge your past and remember things that happened in the past and, learn lessons. But like, I move on quickly. If I make a mistake,
you're going to move on from me being late.
No. I just, but where I get in trouble sometimes is I live in the future, but I don't just live in the future. I actually like believe it's already happening.
Well, you're there then. You're really there on your own. That's amazing.
So for like I'll just use the relationship with my wife. Like I saw myself marrying her and being with her long before we even got back together and having children and doing all these things. And I'm not saying that to like win brownie points with my wife. It was like, it's true.
Yeah.
Or what we're doing here when we did this podcast, like to me, what we're doing, I haven't got to where I actually already am. Does that make sense? Like I see where this is.
You're co-creating. Like like you really believed it. I mean, you lived it. You believed it as if it was already happening.
I'll go back even to, so it's a funny story. The first public thing I ever did, I told you, was on Gary's show actually. And I wasn't supposed to be on the show. Maybe Gary will remember this. Lauren was. But I knew we were launching this podcast. Like, okay, this is a great platform to like kind of get some visibility. He was doing the Ask Gary V show.
He had no social presence, Mona.
But
this is like a boyfriend of
but
mine.
Not even Instagram.
No, he didn't have a social.
And you just went on the podcast. Yeah. That's great.
But in my mind,
his way on. I'm like, what is this guy doing?
But in my mind, this was gonna happen. Like this thing, and then in addition to that, like this thing that we're doing with Dear Meat, like it was already like that's what and the reason I've been able to kind of like stay focused on this and not waver and do this for so long is because I feel like it's like what I'm trying to do with it, I've already done, but it just hasn't happened and manifested physically yet. Does that make sense?
But agree with everything you're saying. But I do think with the tool of what you're saying, you would be unstoppable.
That's true. Maybe he would get even higher. Like you're naturally there more than we are.
Yes.
I think I had a lot of, we have anxiety a little more naturally, right? Yeah. So I've had
you and I are same wavelength.
Yes. Unraveling it.
Every single morning for the last 4 years, I wake up and I have a matcha, a ginger tea, or a coffee. And one thing I am very specific about, as you know, is the milk that I use. So I use Malk. It's certified organic. All their products are certified organic. It's a premium plant-based milk made with simple, high-quality ingredients. It's organic almonds, filtered water, and Himalayan pink salt. And I seriously use this for everything. I'll put it in cereal. I'll put it in smoothies. I put it in Zaza's eggs sometimes to give it a little fluff. I even make like a delicious matcha foam with it that is so good with cinnamon. But I know when I'm reaching for an almond milk, it's always Malk. If you're not into almond milk, by the way, they also have vanilla almond, original oat, vanilla oat, and chocolate oat. I mean, hello. So here's my advice to you. If you're at home, turn around your bottle or your package of anything that's in your fridge or your pantry and read the ingredient labels, especially with your almond milk. You're going to be so surprised at what you guys find. And I'm telling you, this just takes all of the hassle out of it. Turn around milk and you'll find simple, clean ingredients, which we love. All right, you're going to head over to milkorganics.com to find milk near you. Special offer for Skinny Confidential, him and her listeners, DM code SKINNY to @milkorganics on Instagram, and they're going to pick 10 winners to gift you guys a pack of products from Milk. I mean, hello, you have to try the unsweetened almond.
Do you feel a little slow? Do you feel a little sickly? Do you feel like you got some under eye bags? Feel like the skin tone's not quite right? Feel like you're undernourished, undermineralized? Maybe you don't have the right prebiotics and probiotics? That's probably because you're not taking athletic greens like me. I take athletic greens every day and I am feeling and looking incredible. Everyone that looks at me these days over the past few years, they're like, wow, look at this guy. What a perfect specimen. And it's because I'm on athletic greens. We talk about a lot of different supplements, a lot of different services on this show. If I could only strip it down and dumb it down to one supplement that you could take, and I really mean this, it would be athletic greens. They have everything you need all in one little scoop. It's made with 75 super high quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source ingredients that deliver benefits like mood, immune system, and sleep support, sustained energy, and so much more. This packs it all into a punch. The way I take it is every single morning, whether I'm traveling or at home, I wake up, have a heaping glass of water, and dump a huge scoop of athletic greens right into that water, stir it up, and boom, I got my greens, minerals, vitamins for the day. The reason I love this product so much is so many of us struggle to get the right vitamins, minerals, our greens in our system. So just doing this, one, it gets you in the habit of drinking water in the morning, which you should be doing anyway. And two, it just gets all of these great nourishment into your system, into your body, which have so many great effects, which I listed previously. So if you want to take ownership of your health, today is a good time to start. Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/skinny. That's athleticgreens.com/skinny. Check it out.
Recently, I redid my whole fridge, and one of the things that I put in there is like this little acrylic holder, and in it, I stocked Perfect Bar. I did the snack size. They have these little mini ones, and they're filled with 6 grams of protein. And all their bars are like freshly ground nut butter, organic honey, and they have 20 organic superfoods. So when Zaza grabs something, I feel like she's getting something sweet that feels like a treat, but it's actually nutritious too because it has that protein in it. She is absolutely obsessed. Like, this is her curation, the dark chocolate chip peanut butter with sea salt. Anyways, I stocked our fridge with these. I did like a little snack bar, and then I also pack the big ones when we're going on vacation because they have 17 grams of protein. So when Michael's in a bad mood because he's hangry because he forgot to eat, I am stocked with my dark chocolate chip peanut butter protein bar. All right, so here's the deal. If you want something that's non-GMO, no artificial preservatives, something with whole food ingredients that you can snack on after a workout or when you're on the go, you have to check out Perfect Bar. And this is so cool. Perfect Bar knows it will be love at first bite. So for a limited time, they're offering you a chance to try their refrigerated protein bars for free. So here's how it works. You sign up for their emails or text, and then you upload a picture of your receipt from a local grocery store, and they'll reimburse you for the cost of 1 bar directly to your Venmo or PayPal account. This is so cool. All you have to do is go to perfectsnacks.com/skinny to get a free Perfect Bar today. That's perfectsnacks.com/skinny to get a free Perfect Bar today. Happy snacking.
I just believe if you you have to, in anything in life, it could be a relationship, could be a business, could be, personally, could be, fitness, whatever. If you don't have a vision of where you're going to go, then there's no way to get there. Like, you have to have, you have to have an idea, or else you're just blindly going through life.
Or else you're like, it's the randomization of the universe just throwing stuff at you.
It's like somebody says, I want to get in shape, but if they don't actually see themselves as an in-shape person, a healthy person that's eating right and going to the gym and taking care of themselves, it's not going to happen. You can't just be like, I'm healthy. Like,
well, you sound pretty spiritual.
Well, I think
maybe you just don't know it.
Ooh.
That's why I'm not opposed to this stuff you're talking about. I'm just saying I've had a hard time figuring out the right person to kind of like maybe go deeper.
I will say the first, he does these you've heard of Kundalini breath work.
Yeah.
He doesn't call it Kundalini. He calls it energy centers because he doesn't want to polarize, have it sound, unrelatable to people. So he doesn't use spiritual words. He doesn't, and I love that. And he talks about being a chiropractor. He's like, there's this fluid that goes up and down your spine. He gives you the science. And then so just to tell you, I don't want to take up the whole thing talking about Joe. I feel bad, but
please.
He The third day in the meditation, we're doing this energy center meditation. You go up, and when you get to your third center, which is like your stomach, it was like this like gut punch. Like I had groaned out loud. Like it was as if someone was like punching my stomach, and I could feel a physical block. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. We get through that one, and then I go back to the hotel that night. Also, we're doing these coherence healings. People are moving off the floor. We're not touching them. Like, it's wild. So I go back that night, and I'm just like in awe, and I just like really wanted to listen to music. I took a shower. I put on music, and I'm just like in the mood to dance. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And I felt like I was moving my body in a different way because I've always been a little, unless I had drinks in me, I was self-conscious. Like I've always like I wouldn't go out and like start dancing at a club. I'd need to have a little buzz. I don't know what, and then I just felt like I was moving in a different way. And like the rest of the week, I just felt this like lightness and like joy and like, I think just belief in something bigger. So that night we spent one night in Miami. We drove to Miami for the night before we went back to New York. And the next morning I did the walking meditation, and I'm like walking on the beach. And after I put music on, I was like, could not stop myself from dancing.
Wow.
It is something opened up in me. And now every morning, I mean, not every morning, but I'd say like 4 or 5 days out of the week after I meditate, I put on music and I'm like dancing around my kitchen. Like, you know, like Melissa style, when she turns on her phone and or when I'm like, how does this girl have this like confidence to do it? I always like I would never do that. And now and then I remember Gary walked in, he was like, I love how you dance. And he's never said that to me. I swear something opened up that was blocked, and there was just like a lightness to me.
And you believe, and this is what I believe, and tell me if you think it's wrong, that the meditation unlocked a blockage of energy that you were blocking.
Yes. And I didn't know where it was, but it was like I would do, and it happened a couple times when we go up the center. As soon as I got to my third center, it was like I was like making these noises. And then during other thing, now when I meditate, like it just keeps getting weirder and weirder.
I bet you it's like the surrender experiment.
My body moves. Like sometimes I'll make a weird noise. Like I have our apartment and our spare room is my meditation room because I need to be by myself. I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen when I meditate. I think it's the one time now where I surrender and I'm present. It's not like I'm in a trance, but my body might move around. I might make a noise. My hands, even like my hands sometimes will move up like and just like stop somewhere on my body. And it's like, I'm just literally letting it do what it knows to do.
I think that the reason that people are getting so into meditation like this is because we've been so cock blocked by our phone. I think our phone has cock blocked our ability to connect with ourselves in an introspective way. And I have a feeling that in the next 10 years, you're going to see people having very similar experiences to what you've experienced, or they're going to go the other way and be on a completely different vibration.
Yes.
Which is not 5D. I think you're going to see people go, I think we've been too stifled by this phone. And I think it's not human nature for what we've, I put in quotes, endured with the phone.
It's not just the phone. I feel like just people have stopped listening to themselves.
Yes.
Right. They've lost the ability to be introspective and to think without something distracting them.
But
and I don't mean that to diminish anyone. I mean, people don't like to be alone with their own thoughts.
It's my favorite thing now.
Right? Like as soon as you get alone with your thoughts and you hear that voice in your head, you're like, oh my God, I better like distract myself with Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or TikTok because I don't want to hear what's going on in my brain.
First of all, I have like a couple like little micro questions. When you're meditating in your meditation room, is Gary like, hey guys, it's Gary V. Like in the other room? Like, how do you guys manage the differences in personalities? It's the same vibration. I get what you're saying, but like, it's just, how do you do that when
because he's go.
And
Gary, I mean this in a nice way. He's a high octane, high energy individual.
So I'm so glad you asked this because this is the biggest misconception about Gary. He is the most zen, calm, grounded.
Wow.
Like when he's on Zoom meetings and he's working, he does not stop. It's 12 hours. He doesn't even take a lunch break. He's like talking, loud voice. But when it's just, and first of all, I meditate between like 6 and 7 a.m. and it's other side of the apartment. And like, we're not starting work yet. So it's fine. I I think he gets fired up when he's in his content, but when he's just like at home, he is so calm.
He's recharging probably.
Yeah. And he's just, I can't like, it's just so funny because everyone's like, how do you, I'm like, oh my God, he grounds me. It's not the other way around.
That makes actually a lot of sense. He has to perform and has the capacity to perform like that because he's able when he's off to be like, to go inward and be calm. And that's maybe his meditative situation.
Yes.
Ed Milet just talked about this. I'm reading his book, The Power of One More, and he says that what he does is he squeezes 3 days into one. Like,
yes,
he does 3 blocks. So if you are doing 3 days, he puts it all in one day.
Well, basically,
it
goes to your point about like the concept of time. He's like, most people think the work day is an 8-hour day, or that like the day begins it ends at 9 to 5 from a work perspective. But he was saying if you look at it as like 3 blocks of 24 hours or however many blocks, like you can bend time to how it fits you.
Gary takes 5-minute meetings, 10-minute meetings. He taught me that where I'm like, wait, a 30-minute meeting or 45 is very long. Are you kidding? Like, and he gets it done.
30-minute meetings.
Right.
We gotta retire that.
I agree.
We gotta retire the 30-minute meeting.
It's like, get to the point, say what you need to say. And like, I think because he likes what he does, he just has a natural, he's like, he always says like, you're not lazy, you're just not interested in what you're doing.
Let me ask you this. So being,
advice.
I think you're a relatively private person, right?
Yes.
And like Lauren and I know you personally, so you hear rumblings about your dating life before. But when you guys officially come out and announce that you're together and there's 8,000 people commenting their opinion, like how do you handle that?
So we were like really, and the reason we even announced it was just because it was getting to a point where I'm like, I want it to be known and then not talk about it that much because it was awkward.
Sense.
It was awkward for me to like go on these like when I'm traveling or doing things and just block that one part of my life.
Yeah.
So we were very prepared for anything and everything, and people obviously. Everyone's going to have their opinion on anything. And I think it was just expected. So I was really mentally prepared for it, that it's going to be good and bad and in between. And then just like, moved on from it the next day.
I think that's smart. It's like you got ahead of any kind of narrative, you owned it, and then you can just move on with how you see fit on your own terms.
Exactly. And like, I almost now, I actually try to not share him, like even if we're together, because I never realized, maybe I just never had something that was so important to me that I just don't, I'm like, I don't want anyone's opinions on it. I don't need anyone's, like nothing could ever come in between us. It's fine, but I don't even care to know or see or get the likes on it. It's just I'm not interested in it.
I mean, I think that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
That's what I would tell you as a friend. I think the way you're doing it is beautiful.
Yeah, I think as soon as you start taking social chatter or public opinion when it comes to your personal life, whether it's your dating life, marriage, parenting, any of that stuff like that, you get into I think that's when people get into a really dicey place because,
yes,
I'm sure people have notions and ideas about Lauren and I's relationship and about our parenting styles and all that. But like that's the one area where we're not like at request for coaching or taking feedback.
I was going to ask because you guys, I mean, do you guys get comments and whatever about your relationship,
Sure.
about your marriage? Like, I mean, just from being on the podcast together, do people have opinions?
This is what I would say. And this is, you and I swear to God, have so many similarities. I'm also a very private person.
Mm-hmm.
And
you share it in a lighthearted way. You're not getting deep about your relationship. I noticed that.
Yeah. And like here and there, I'll throw like an Easter egg in because we're doing a podcast, but I'm not like, I don't need to expose every single facet of my entire life. Even with my kids, I'm very, very thoughtful with how I share my children.
I can tell.
I'll share a picture here and there, maybe a couple times a week, but I'm not filming my daughter while she's doing everything. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like it's little tiny snippets.
Yes.
And I think that I really relate to what you're saying. It's like you don't want outside opinion to penetrate something so special that you have.
Mm-hmm.
But also, people are obviously curious. But I wanted to ask you, when you guys are out, people must come up to both of you because you guys both have a social presence. How the fuck do you guys go out to eat? Both of you.
To be honest, I mean, I get people like, once in a while. I feel like it's, maybe a couple times a week or something. It's nothing as crazy for me. I mean, with him, we can't, especially like walking down the street. Yeah. I mean, and the thing about him is people are so touched by what he's done for them that they really come up so emotional, and he's so sweet, and he stands and he listens and he talks, and And it's not even that he's doing it to be nice. He genuinely likes it. And
he's like, bitch, you got 5 minutes.
Right. And we actually talked about this recently where I was like, I don't have the personality for like talking to a ton of people all the time out in public, whereas he has it. So he can do it and it doesn't drain him where it would drain me more. So yeah, people definitely come up. I'll say one time we were having breakfast outside of a hotel. I can't remember where we were, Cipriani, something like that. And this guy from coming down the hotel stairs was like, oh man, Gary V. And he was Russian. He was speaking Russian to him. We're sitting across from each other. He sits down, just plops down next to Gary at the table, hands me his phone. He's like, will you take a picture? Like breakfast on the table and everything. I was like, it was definitely intrusive, but of course, Gary's like, it's fine. It was alarming.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
It was a lot.
I'm sure you guys could write a book on all the scenarios that you experience, especially in New York City, because it's such a...
Exactly. It's a lot of people.
It's
but
a lot.
To be honest, like he's in the office all day. I'm working from home. So it's not like we're just like walking around the city a lot. Like we're kind of like in our zones.
I want to talk about you working from home after you had this transformation.
Yes.
What does it look like? What did it look like? And what does it look like now? I want to know the differences between that.
Yes. So after the retreat, I just felt like I guess I was excited almost to get back. I felt re-inspired. I wanted to come back and just like be me and just share what I was feeling, what I was thinking. And ever since I came back, I started noticing numerous people coming up to me, like being like, I really like your content now. There's something different about it. I just feel like it's a little more natural and raw. And no one would ever say that to me before. So I think when you're just like really being your authentic self, it really resonates more with people. So it took me a minute. I had I would say just maybe 2 months ago, I've started to really, maybe even recently, got my team together. I had to regroup in New York and find like new editors and like what direction I was going to take it in. So I work from home most days a week. When I'm doing, I am actually just starting a podcast that I'm launching probably in January, February. We go into a studio to do that. And I film my YouTube videos. I'm relaunching that in December because I don't like filming that much at home. I try to keep it separate, but I work from home.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So when you do your content now, you're getting a more like a real behind the scenes of you as opposed to something that, by the way, was popular, more curated.
Yes.
When you and I filmed it, it was more curated. It's different now.
And YouTube will be more curated. That's like, I feel like where that lies.
100%.
But do you guys both, this is different, like as creators, did you feel there was a certain period of time where like you kind of get swept away and like this is the formula that works for everybody? And so like that's the formula I have to, people do it in podcasting too. It's like, oh, I've seen this show do this. And so they start trying to maybe do it, but it's not authentic to them. Is that kind of what you saw where it's like you were just doing things that you thought were going to perform?
Down to like, I would fight myself on like, okay, I shouldn't care about the fonts or the way it's edited or whatever. I should just do what's best practice. And now I'm just like, I respect that I like aesthetic. It makes me feel good. I don't care. Like, honestly, if you were to tell me like, do it this way and make it look this way because it will do better, I wouldn't do it. And I think when I finally respected that about myself, because you'd almost think like people care about aesthetic because they think it's going to do better. No, it's actually just makes me happy to see beautiful things. I like it.
It sounds like to you, it's not about, just making the money and getting it and getting the views. It's like more of just
self-expression.
Self-expression.
Self-expression. And like, I think now when I create content, it's literally all day, any day. Like I'll walk in the grocery store videos I do. I'll just walk in, I'll see something and I'm like, oh, I want to talk about this. It's never like, what am I going to go into the grocery store and film?
Right.
I just see it and get inspired. Or if we're in the car on the way home, I'll be like, oh, let me just film this quick video. And I find that just, when you're feeling it in the moment, you say it versus like, let me write it down, put up a camera. It's like, you can't fake that energy as well.
You know who's doing a great job of that? Bethany Frankel.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
On TikTok.
Yeah. She's getting on and she's just talking like she's putting on makeup and she's like, this is what I'm using. This is what I'm doing. She's done a really good job, I think. Also Julia Fox.
Yes. She's killing it.
Yeah. They both have done a good job of just getting on when they have a thought. And I respect that. I mean, I think that's very, very smart than having all this stuff planned.
Let me ask you this too. You mentioned you wanted to take the doctor out of your name. And we were talking about this off before we started the show. Lauren and I will catch flack because we're not doctors, quote unquote, or experts, quote unquote. And so like people get mad, like you can't give an opinion because you don't have a credential, even though it's just our opinion. But for you, it was like the opposite. You actually had the credential and you wanted to remove it. What was the reasoning?
It's so funny. I took it off because I didn't want any more misconceptions about me trying to trick anyone that I was an MD. Even though I have my doctorate, I worked really hard for that. I was like, you know what? Let's just remove this for that reason. And then on top of that, I felt like it was kind of pigeonholing me into like only creating wellness content. And when I went through this whole experience, I was like, I do like fashion and I do like food and I do like interior design. And I was so focused on staying in my lane that I think part of meditation in this whole process of the year was like, this is my life and these are the things I care about. Why can't I share them? Like, I don't want to just live in this lane, in this box. If you think about it, like I spent 6 years of my life in pharmacy school, right? I hope I have 94 other years of life. So because of that 6 years, that's what I have to do my whole life. I can't ever shift into, that's insane. So I just, right? Like
pull that clip. That's a great clip that you're 100% right. And I think the misconception with the word stay in your lane, because Bethany Frankel actually told me that advice. It's not stay in your lane of what you're good at and what you can do. It's stay in your lane, meaning putting your blinders on to what other people are doing.
Those two very different.
I think people are confusing that. Whenever I say stay in my lane, I mean, I'm putting my blinders on. I'm not watching 400 Instagram stories and consuming tons of content. I'm just really focused on what I'm doing. It doesn't mean that you can't be multifaceted and an onion.
Exactly. We're humans. Like we're always evolving and changing. Like, what are we supposed to stay the exact same? I mean, you learn and you grow from different experiences and your interests change. And I remember like thinking, I've gotten so into interior design. I don't know. It's really just, and I'm like, anything that I love, I'm going to like explore.
100%.
Yeah, I think we're at a time in culture where people, like some people are having a difficult time understanding that you may do 8 different things throughout your life. Like, you know, our parents' generation and the generation before, it's like if you became a doctor or a lawyer, it's like that was the thing you did. There wasn't a lot of optionality, right? Or like you went and worked in a certain space. Like that, there wasn't a lot of options, especially because you didn't have the internet and you had to most likely commute to a place. But, you know, thinking about my personal career, there's not one linear path. It's like been so many different things and I'm only 36, right? And I'm imagining there'd be so many other things that are going to happen in my life that I'm not anticipating now. And I think people are still struggling with the idea that you might do different things throughout your life and shift focus or expertise or whatever.
You know, one thing is like a Joe Dispenza promo. I'm not even trying, but
go for it. Love him.
One thing.
Hey, Joe.
We love you.
Nice, man.
Hey, Joe. Hi, Joe. It's me.
God.
One thing his meditations and spirituality in general teach you is that if you think you can predict everything that's going to happen, like that's very boring. Like if you open up your mind to like anything could happen, like your life could go in so many more directions and it actually becomes fun. Like if you're so fixated on like, no, it has to go this way, like that's not fun at all.
So meaning like if I wake up and I'm like, ugh, I have to go, film this content today. I really don't want to. Instead of me predicting how the content filming is going to go, wake up and be open to a lot of different things could happen than what I expect.
Yeah, maybe. Or here's what I'm trying to say. Like, let's say I'm like, I want to start a podcast and it has to be like top 10 and then I'm going to have kids and then and I have this whole idea. Maybe something is going in a different direction, but just being open to the way that life is flowing and what the universe is bringing you instead of pulling at this thing that you think you have to have. Maybe if I go in that direction, I'm going to have a hit TV show or whatever. Like it will go, be like obviously having your goals, but not pulling at one thing so hard if it's not working. Like when a new opportunity arises, being open to it.
Like if the idea was only we're going to do these podcasts for the rest of our life and that's all this is ever going to be. Or you switch out and say, we're going to do these podcasts and maybe we meet someone like Mona or someone else and then it takes your life in a whole different direction and opens up a whole nother possibility for a career or whatever like that. And I think that where people get in trouble is, and where they get burnt out is they think their life is only ever going to be like this one thing and nothing else.
This one thing, and you kind of put yourself into this box where like it could be even bigger than you ever imagined. I like sometimes when I meditate, I'm like, what if I'm in a movie one day? Could happen. Like I really go in that direction now where I'm like, I'm just open to whatever life has in store for me.
It's why I always had such a difficult time in school, because school teaches you, I mean, listen, I know some people love school, but it teaches you like, follow these rules, do these things, then this set path will be set for you. And that's all you'll have to focus on, right? Like,
yes,
I always struggle with that because I think that life can be so much more interesting if you're open to other experiences.
I agree. Like even, like, you know, there's a lot going on with Iran right now. And like, I got really passionate about it. Obviously it's my culture, but I'm like, oh, I never knew that activism would spark something inside me. Maybe I'm going to get more into this work. Something can happen in life that just kind of puts you in one direction. Like, you know, when you see who's the actor that was a doctor, what's his name? And now he's like one of the biggest comedy actors. He was in, I can't remember.
I know who you're talking about.
You know who I'm talking about, but like,
he was in The Hangover.
Yeah. Do you think after medical, he was thinking like, I'm going to be an A-list actor?
I know,
yeah, or whatever.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. I just think it's interesting. I think if you're open to life and not trying to hold on to this image that you have that it's going to be, like maybe, you know, you could be open to other things.
I wanted to ask you that. I saw your TikTok where you opened up about Iran. Can you talk about that to everyone? I mean, maybe even you kind of explained it in layman's terms to people that don't understand or need a simpler explanation.
Yeah, I think growing up, you know, I grew up Persian. My parents were divorced when I was really young, so I didn't grow up with any other culture around me. And I think one thing about Iran is that it's kind of always been forgotten. Like even if you look at like language lists on something, it'll be like Arabic, Farsi's never on there. People just kind of lump us into like Arabic. They assume we're Arabic, speak Arabic, and it's a completely different country, different language. So I think when all of this happened with the protests, some people were just like, wait, what's Iran? Like like no one even really knew anything. And you know, it's definitely one thing it's taught me, I would say, is I've never been that loud about other things because I was like, I don't really want to go there politically. I just tried to like not bring that onto social. And this is no judgment to anyone who does or doesn't, but when something so deeply personal affects you, you realize like how much it means when other people speak up about it. And I think it's just opened my eyes to wanting to be louder for other people too.
I love that TikTok from you.
Yeah, thank you.
It was something I didn't expect from you.
The one where I was crying.
Yeah, I was like, wow, this is different content, but I felt that you were feeling so deeply about
because it was close to your heart.
Yeah,
it's you know, I still have family that lives there. We're trying to get them all to move to Canada, but I've never was able to visit growing up because of the government. And now even having social media, I was always like that small chance that they put me in jail, like no one can help me. So it's that scary. I was never willing to risk going, you know, because me wearing this low cut shirt is already, you know, anti-Islamic regime or Islamic Republic. This is not Islam either. They're like a pathetic excuse of religion. But when it was all happening, I just felt this I actually was on the phone with Gary when I was crying in that video, and my team was over and they just like filmed it. I didn't even know they were filming it. But I was like, I want to say something. I just don't know what to say and like what can make the biggest impact. It was really like a heavy few weeks at first, and it's still going on. And I think, you know, it's hard when you don't know why other people aren't, like media isn't covering it, whatever the political reasons are. I'm not a political person. I don't even like speaking on it that much because I don't feel like I know enough to say. But this has given me, honestly, confidence to just be like, anything I get out, anything I can bring awareness to, I'd rather have someone judge me and say that I'm saying it wrong or someone get mad at me versus like actually doing the right thing.
Honestly, you can't say anything right though.
Well, no, politics is difficult because, again, going back to this expertise, like sometimes we say things on this show and people say, stay in your lane, you're not an expert, shut the fuck up. And then maybe something that's going on is politically charged. You go, well, why didn't you say anything? And it's like, well, you know, which way is it? Do you want us to be experts or do you not want us? Or like, it's these things are so touchy. And I feel the same way you feel about it. It's like if something's really coming from the heart and it's sparking, you feel this need to say something, then you should. But I think people get in trouble where they just jump into whatever issue is happening.
Repost. Yeah, exactly.
Because the intention is not in the right place. Like, oh, maybe I got to do this because I got to make sure that like I'm doing what everyone else is doing. But I think those have the least amount of impact and have people it makes
Agree.
people listen the least amount, right? But if something like what you posted that's that close, it gets people to be like, huh, and listen because they can tell you actually care.
Agree. I think people can sniff out authenticity all the time now. And I think honestly, I go back to imposter syndrome so much. It's so real. Whereas I'm like, I'm not qualified to talk about Iran. I'm not qualified to talk about this. I'm like, what do you mean? Like anyone can talk about anything. Like we all have it. We're all fully capable. And I think that just has stopped me a lot in the past. And one thing I've been trying to get past in this whole journey I've had.
The journey that you've had is unreal.
Yeah, the meditation journey is unreal.
If you guys say Joe Dispenza one more time,
Oh,
I'm going to kick the mic over.
Okay, well, when I listen on my headphones tomorrow, I did a theta meditation last night.
Mm-hmm.
Michael, so loud getting in the bed. It's like he has to take the cup of water and slam it down, and the pillows have to be ruffled, and the light you turned on 65 times as bright as it could go. I'm just like, is this?
Well,
but that's part of meditation, right? Letting things go.
I have
Yes,
these
there you
darker
go.
eyes that's harder to see, and Lauren has these really bright blue sensitive eyes, and so she turns the light down to nothing. So I'm just stumbling around.
Your
and
kids have the
smashing it.
same eyes, so you got to
I
adjust.
can't see.
to
Is
that.
what I'm
Best
saying.
eyes.
I can't see anything.
I would love to know the contrast of, and I know we kind of talked about this a little bit, what your morning routine is, just for my own selfish self, and
Mhm.
what Gary's morning routine is. And like I picture Gary waking up and chugging a huge cup of coffee, and like I would love to know what the contrasting routines are and how you guys make it work with each other, just for me and Michael's benefit. Because Michael's definitely more like Gary, and I'm more like.
How do you know? It
Yeah.
sounds like he's pretty zen.
He's pretty zen. So I know all my morning, this is another example, whereas all my like night routine and morning routine stuff that I believe in and I think he should do, he doesn't need. I really believe that everyone's wired so differently, and some
100%.
people need it and some people don't. And I'm like, you know what? He's doing pretty well mentally, so I'm not even going to bother with that.
Like he can just get up and go.
He gets up, yeah, and goes pretty much just goes right into he works out.
Who wakes up first?
Depends on the day.
So different sometimes.
Different, yes.
Okay.
One thing taking a break and like the whole quarantine thing got me into was sleep, because I feel like before I would like pride myself on getting 5 or 6 hours of sleep and going, and now I just know how good it is. So if I go to bed late, I'd rather sleep in a little bit later.
Also, when you said that you get off your phone now, I get off my phone early too. If you're getting off your phone early, you're getting more sleep because you're not
The
stimulated.
blue light,
100%.
exactly. Do you know all about like the flicker too and light bulbs? Like,
No.
there's just like this whole thing with
I need to get back on. It flickers where it turns your phone red, right?
No, it's like even light bulbs, sir. You might not, when you hold your phone up to a light and then like it's flashing on your phone, but
Okay.
there's like a flicker, and you can look up low flicker bulbs. So like I have these like red low flicker bulbs in our light
Love.
in our bedroom because it doesn't stimulate you as much.
Love. So
No.
which one of you doesn't wake up first before the other? It's different.
It's different. It honestly depends on the day.
Okay. So
and-
we're not mainlining caffeine into our vein the second we wake up.
I'll tell you one thing about Gary too. He has like a few sips. Like he'll have a coffee this size and drink this much and then like forget about it. And then a couple hours later, he just likes to have it next to him. He really doesn't need the caffeine, I'm telling you. He just has this natural energy.
So do you wake up immediately and leave him to go meditate in your room?
I'd like to wake up. I prefer to wake up before him. I have this thing where I want to be awake before anyone else because it's peaceful to me. But if I don't get enough sleep, then I won't do it.
What's
Okay.
the sex life like? Is he like, we're at the Gary Vee show now?
That's where the privacy is
Welcome
coming
to the
in.
Gary Vee show.
Moving on.
That no comment. She'll tell me off air. No.
How to throw that in there.
So you wake up, you go to your meditation room.
I go to my meditation room. I meditate.
The 24-minute one.
Sometimes I do like an hour and 20 minutes. Sometimes I do 25
Hour and
minutes.
20 minutes?
Yeah.
Which one's an
Wow.
hour and 20 minutes? I don't know.
Most of his, well, the morning, most of his are about an hour.
I just use the one on YouTube. Are you using it on his app?
That's why you don't have it downloaded. No, on his website, you have to pay for his meditations.
I just use the 24-minute one on
There's
YouTube.
probably one on YouTube. Yeah, I'd have them down. You go on his website, you pay like $30.
Now he's never coming on,
Meditations.
Lauren. You've been bootlegging all his stuff.
Okay. No.
And most of them, and especially one thing at the week long, I remember like, I'm like, an hour meditation. Are you crazy? You think it goes by in like 15 minutes.
I don't think it's crazy anymore.
I swear, we did a 4-hour meditation one morning, and like you didn't even know it was 4 hours. Like you open your eyes and he's like, it's 10 a.m. And we're all like, Like you're just
4
like,
hours is
4
intense.
hours.
Wow.
But he guides you through the whole thing. Like he's guiding you through it at the event.
I
So
need
it's
to
cool.
get his app. So you do sometimes
Sometimes I
super
do
long.
an hour and a half. Sometimes I do 25 minutes. The 24 minutes, like the short one, that's like my, if I'm like rushing.
That's like you're like
That's like my easy one.
Yeah, that's like making out.
But it's so weird. It's like as soon as sometimes like I'll drag myself there. And then as soon as I sit down and close my eyes and it starts, I'm like, I don't want to get up. It's the most relaxing, like enjoyable process, which I never believed before.
Mona, have you tried it on a PEMF mat?
I have like a PEMF machine, like a real, it's like a professional. Honestly, I probably shouldn't have this. It's professional grade.
Lauren, I'll make you a deal. I'll do this for an hour and 20
You gotta
minutes.
text me that link.
If you get up early with the kids and deal with the kids in the morning.
No comment.
Wait,
Yeah.
is Michael getting up with the kids?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I carried him
Well,
for 10 months each. You can get up with the kids.
It's
I'm
fine.
sorry.
And I like getting up. It's like our time.
I
to
literally, I don't feel bad about that.
no, I don't feel bad.
That's
I'm just
really
kidding.
sweet.
Yeah,
I like
he's
that.
sweet. He's a sweet guy.
Yeah.
Well, I like that time because, I'll get going, run around. And
I'm
so
glad you
that's
It
the
makes
time.
sense because you
Embrace
like
it.
waking up earlier. You like that.
Yeah.
You get that time. It's nice.
Embrace it. And when you can carry a kid for 10 months every day, then I'll wake up with the kids.
No comment. No win there.
Changing social norms. Look at us. What are some other important morning routine things that you do? And I have to ask you that before you go, and maybe nighttime too, because you're so known for routine things. So just give us a couple of things that have really been life-changing in your toolbox.
So it's funny. I love audiobooks, but I don't like reading. I know you guys love to read.
That's okay. Audiobooks are great.
So I like listening. So either like a really inspiring like audiobook or podcast, but it's always something, I would say it's usually along the like spiritual realm because that's what I like in the morning.
Okay.
I'm not like into like funny content or something in the morning. So I'm listening to a book. I like to work out, have a little music, shower. And then by the time I'm done with all of that, then I'll turn on my phone. So I don't like to like text message or do anything before that.
I agree.
I have my phone. It's on airplane. Or if I have to use it for something, I'll put on do not disturb so I'm not getting any notifications.
I'm going to I don't use the airplane mode and do not disturb enough.
It's really good. Even like Gary knows sometimes now, like if we wake up at the same time, like I don't like to talk before I meditate because I want my mind as clear as possible. Am I just speaking your
just
language?
like so.
I'm a little bit of
Yeah.
I'm a little bit of a chatter. So
Like I just need, because the meditating really early in the morning or late at night, you're going to get more benefit out of it. If before your mind's on, like you're in your subconscious more. So
before you've had a bunch of stuff come
before,
in.
yes, like
There's
clear-minded.
something that JD, I'm just going to call him JD because we started to say his name.
DJD.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
said that he wakes up at 4:30 in the morning to meditate because he likes to be in that theta state because when you just what you said when you go about your day, you get in a different state where you're like stressed when you meditate, but if you're in the theta state, your brain's doing less work.
It's this meditation he has where one of the days, the 4-hour meditation, we have to get there at 4 and we do the meditation from like 4 to 8 or something, whatever it is, because your melatonin is highest between like 12 and 4 or 12. And there's something there.
Did you ever fall asleep in those?
You're laying down and you might go in and out because his voice, and he's like, that's okay. Like it's fine.
okay to do that.
You're almost like teetering on that wavelength where you want to be in and out.
But
I
it's
feel
so
like
nice because it's like your
This
nervous
was
system's-
like one big manipulation to get me into this because like you guys talked before. Last time Melissa came on, she got me to not drink for like 7 months, which was good. So now you
I
come on.
haven't had a drink in 2
Now
years
I'll get into
either.
JD's meditation because you
You
came
have
on. I'll
not
report
had
back.
a drink in 2 years.
Yes. I'll tell you why. It's because of my gut health. I've really been, so I won't get into this too long. I know we're almost wrapped, but like the gut health stuff has been like a 4-year journey for me. And that's also what got me interested in, because you do all the Western stuff and it doesn't work. And then your last resort is going into the deeper work, which probably should be the first thing you look at. And when I got into functional medicine doctors, they were like, this is really like a mind, your vagus nerve, your gut brain connection. And that's something I've really been working on. And then when I was like, okay, I'm really trying to work on my gut health, alcohol is definitely one of the worst things I could do. So I stopped. Not only has it given me like it's given me such a confidence to go out without alcohol because, I told you, I felt like between the meditation and no alcohol, I feel like I have the time of my life and don't need anything. And I was never that girl.
I'm noticing a lot more people not wanting alcohol.
Yeah. And my reason wasn't because I was, sober curious?
Yep.
I wasn't sober curious. I just did it for gut health. But now I'm like, I'm very intrigued by this. I miss wine. That's it.
Yeah. What do you do when Gary's drinking his wine?
I don't. Sometimes I'll have like a tiny sip to taste it and then I just leave it.
You're so right though. What it did for me, and like I'll partake here and there, but the levels now at which I partake are so much lower than before. And I feel like people use it as such a social crutch.
Yes.
Right? And that 7 months, to your point, gave me also the confidence to just be like, okay, I can go out and use or not use. Right?
Yeah, you don't need it.
And now I don't really need or want as much. It was like, I think it's really beneficial for everyone to do a reset because we use it as, like I said, such a crutch and depend on it so much for social settings.
You don't realize like you adjust to things. Yeah. You think it's a huge deal.
I did a 2-year sober. 2 years. I don't know about 10 months plus 10 months. What's that?
I wonder if it was different because, you were pregnant. Maybe you weren't going out as much. I don't know.
Lauren's going to get really mad. I think it's different because you're kind of in that situation.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, here it is. You're in that situation. You're kind of forced to because you have a child growing in your, in your body.
Right. Versus like really experimenting with like going out and.
Yeah. And like, making the conscious effort to be like, I just don't want to do this right now. Like you're kind of forced to not.
Okay. All right. I wish you could get pregnant. I really do.
Not to discount, but
I have a funny story that I don't think I've ever told you in person. And I just thought, when did I first meet Mona? And Michael doesn't even know this. I was looking through a scrapbook the other day.
What?
You were in a picture with me when I was probably 18.
No.
I don't even know this. I couldn't believe it. You're in the photo. And I put 2 and 2 together. The first time I met you was at Stingery in San Diego with Jade Nicole at her birthday, the day that car accident happened in front of Stingery. And I was at the table. And Jade
you must have been 20 because I was back then.
Okay, maybe I was 20. Jade had a modeling agency.
A club appearance or something?
Yes. Yes. She reached out to me in San Diego. I think we found each other through MySpace.
No way.
And she had me come to dinner and I was seated across from you.
You're kidding.
That's the first time I met you. And I have a picture of us. And I'm like, oh my God. Because I kind of, when I first met you, I was like, I know her from somewhere.
I think we were older because I met Jade when I was like 25. So it was like.
Maybe we were old.
Yeah.
I want to, maybe 20.
No, it must
You might have been 24 and I was 25 because I met her when I finished school.
Yeah, Lauren, it must have been because I didn't come back until.
Anyway, I have a picture in my scrapbook of us so young at Stingery.
Sounds like you guys made a hell of an impression on each other.
Oh my God, wait.
No, she did make an impression on me because I was like, how do I know this person?
She was with her boyfriend at the time, right?
Yes.
Josh? Yes, because they were trying to set me up with this guy there. I remember this.
Was it not Gerald?
He had a shaved head. He was Persian, actually, I think. He might have been Persian. I don't remember.
I'm going to look at the picture because it's a bunch of us in the picture. It's Sarah Underwood.
Yes. All the Playboy girls and me.
Another brunette, but I can't remember who the brunette was. Anyway, I just had to tell you that because I think that's so funny that now you're sober. Would you call yourself sober?
I mean, it's such a funny term because it makes it sound like you
don't indulge in drinking.
I don't indulge. No, don't indulge in drinking.
But we met at a club.
Yeah. I mean, I've used to go out all the time in my 20s.
You did?
Yeah. In LA, I feel like once I finished pharmacy school, I was like let out of the cage because I didn't get to go out when I was in school. I was so busy studying. And then I was new to Hollywood and I loved going out.
You forgot to tell us how you and Gary met.
We met literally in like 2014 or 15 in a business meeting. Like it was nothing. I was just starting my brand and I was working with this marketing company. And they were like, you should meet this guy. Maybe he would. It's so fun. This is the best story because so LA. They were like, this guy, Gary V, he's one of the owners of Dove. Literally, Dove was a client of VaynerMedia. But you know how LA likes to
Dove
flub.
the bar?
Dove, yes. And I didn't know who he was. I was like, cool. And they were like, maybe he'd invest in your brand, like in the health space. And he told me it was such an off chance that he even came to LA and like randomly said yes to this meeting because he had invested in their company.
Did you guys like each other right away?
No. It was like years, but it was just very much, it was a very warm, like friendly vibe. And then we were just kind of acquaintances. And then like years later, we reconnected.
And was it like love at first sight when you guys went on your first date?
For him.
For him?
Maybe
You know what though?
That's how
You
it
guys
should
are
be.
So
Honestly,
cute together.
honestly,
A
like
beautiful couple.
I've never been more sure of anything. And it's just like, you know, when you know, I always tell my friends who are still single, I'm like, you will know.
Don't settle.
You do not settle. Thank God nothing else ever worked out. Thank God I was single for so long.
This is a perfect example of that. You are incredible. I also have to tell you, since I haven't seen you for a little bit, I can tell your vibe, your meditation is like, you can just tell that you're letting life take you. You're surrendering.
Thank you.
Yeah. Where can everyone find you? Where can they follow you? Where should they start? Tell us about your podcast, everything you're doing.
The podcast will be launching January, February. It's with one of my best friends, Chloe Flower. She's this amazing pianist, so we're doing it together.
Cool.
It's called Core Self, so that's coming up. And then on everything else, just Mona Vand.
Okay. Not doctor, guys.
Not doctor, just Mona Vand.
I am very inspired by this conversation. I hope Michael's even more inspired.
I mean, Joe Dispenza's been drilled into my head.
Okay, good.
Don't wait 5
Takeaways,
years to
Joe
come back again next time.
Mona, yeah,
know.
don't wait 5 years to come back. Come back anytime. Let me know when you're in Austin or LA.
I would love that.
I text you my new number.
I got it.
I decided that that's just like on real quick. That's like an off thing that I did is I just decided, just kind of like how you stopped with social media. I just changed my number.
That's so smart. That's a great refresh.
I just gave it to like 30 family members and a couple friends. And then I thought, whoever I want to have this number moving forward, I have control to give it to them.
I might do that.
Yeah, it was so nice. And so like when someone will like ask me for my number, I have the optionality of giving it to them.
So not to like close this with a question on you, but like, what do you do when someone asks you don't want to give them your number? Are you like, oh, actually, it's better for you to email me?
She gives him my number.
I give them my email. I don't even give it.
So if they say, what's your number? You'll say, oh, email me.
I should just email me.
Okay.
And it's not that I don't want them to have my number because I'm trying to be like this, like,
it's your personal
I just
space.
want my phone to be on text message to be my personal
She's
space.
lying. There's some people she doesn't want to have the number. I'm calling her about. I'm
Yeah,
putting her
there's
on blast.
obviously a couple of people.
For
but
sure.
Of course, but it's your thing. I love that.
Yeah, that was, and it's nice for me to be able to choose when I want to give it out. So I didn't, like, I just will give it out sparingly.
I feel really honored that I have it.
You have it.
I feel great.
You have it.
I don't harass you.
No,
I'm
you
kidding.
never harass me. Let me know when you're in Austin and LA. Mona, thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Mona.
Thank
You're
you.
amazing.